All right, IED, this is going to be CAD Modeling Skills Part 2, Activity 1.3.4. Last time we made a sketch that was constrained around construction lines. If you haven't had this done first, you need to go ahead and finish that first and foremost because we're using this sketch to continue on with what we're doing today. So the thing that we're going to be focusing on is we're taking these sketches, and in part two, we're going to be using the circular tool and the rectangular tool to create these pattern tools to create these circular patterns and these linear and rectangular patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and jump straight into that because the circular pattern tool in OnShape is a little bit different from how it is in other CAD softwares like Inventor or Fusion 360. So let me show you how to do it. It's a little bit more graphical instead of like actually typing in parameters and numbers. The main reason is that it's already in a sketch mode and it doesn't give you another option screen like this over here. So I'm going to edit my sketch and I'm going to, well, if I'm creating a circle pattern, I'm going to need a circle. So I'm going to click the circle button. I'm going to click in the middle and I'm going to try to get it to snap into place on the pentagon. So I should have a black line that goes around. That means that this is constrained in place, and that's what I want. Now I'm going to hit the circular pattern tool, and I'm going to begin selecting the geometry that I want. So I'm going to start carefully selecting this pentagon, and I'm going to move around for each part, like so. Now from here, this is where it gets a little bit different from other graphic software. It automatically defaults to rotate around the origin, but I don't want it to make a pattern around the origin. I want it to make a pattern around this circle right here. So if you notice there's a white box that got made whenever you have this tool open, click on it and drag it slowly. Helps if I actually drag the right thing. Click on it and drag it slowly. There we go. And move it over towards the center of the square right here. Oh, sorry, square, the center of the circle right there. Okay, and then we're going to click. And notice that we've got several different pentagons that are coming around here. There's only 3, and I want 5. If you notice right here, it says 3x. I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to change that to 5 and hit enter. Now we'll have 5 pentagons going around this circle. Everything else looks okay. You can change this arrow and it will kind of squish it more in place. So if you don't want the pattern tool to have all of those different, if you don't want it to go all the way around in a circle, you can just move that. Right now I want them to all evenly spaced around the circle to where it's nice and symmetrical. So I'm going to click the green, no wait, hang on. I'm going to hit enter to finalize my circular pattern. And I think that I'm good to go. Yeah, I think just left clicking will do it, to be honest, if you left click on something. So I've got a pattern that goes around here. I don't want this as actually a part of my sketch, so I'm going to right click and click construction. And that is how you use the circular pattern tool. It's a little weird and it might take you a couple of times to try and get used to because that was not something that I immediately started off on and be like, oh, hey, that makes perfect sense. There's not a lot of instructions on how to do that, so it wasn't very straightforward or a good design flow process in terms of the actual mouse button pointing. All right, so we want to do a rectangle pattern for this. So I'm going to go ahead and just move this hexagon up a little bit so that I have a little bit of space. And I'm going to click the arrow right here. So instead of having a circular pattern, I'm going to click the arrow and go to linear pattern. And once again, I'm going to click on the pieces of geometry that I want to make a copy of that goes around. So I'm going to do it like this. But notice that my hexagons are going out the other way. And let me go ahead and reference real quick. It looks like they wanted 3 going across and then 2 on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this arrow and it's going to flip it over. If I hold on it and drag, I can squeeze them into place so that they're not as far away from each other. And if you also notice, there is an arrow up here just kind of sticking around as well. If I click on that arrow, it will actually let me have a second row that I can squeeze into place here. And whenever I finish with that, I can click on the left mouse button and it will make all of the sketches in place. I don't believe that OnShape has an ability to leave one of these out. So if you have one too many, you can just go in and you can start deleting this hexagon and that one will go away, but the pattern will still stay for the other ones. So I can just go ahead and get rid of all 6 of these by just clicking on them and then clicking on delete, like so. Okay, so now for my, that would be a rectangular pattern. Now the linear pattern is used by using the same button. We're just not going to make that second row down on the bottom. So I'm going to click on the rectangular pattern tool. I'm going to click on the parts of the triangle that I want to copy. I don't want them going that way, so I'm going to try to make it go this way. And I want them to not be based on a, so like see this arrow right here? I want to try to drag them around so that they're going this direction in the line of this construction line. And I'm going to squeeze them into place to make them a little bit closer together. And notice they're like the same space apart from each other. And it looks like I can go ahead and I can squeeze about like 1 or 2 more in there. So I'm going to change this 3x, I'm going to change it to 5x. I'm going to double click on that and then hit 5, enter, and it'll make, that was not what I wanted. Just kidding, JK, JK. I think I accidentally clicked on the triangle. Control Z, abort mission. Okay, I'm going to go back. Here we go. I undeleted my hexagon. So let me try about this. My potato computer is having a little bit of a hard time. So I'm going to try again. Rectangle tool. Yeah, see that 3x right there? I clicked on the wrong one. So I'm going to click on the 3 parts of the triangle. I'm going to then have it do its thing. I'm going to click on that white box down here and drag it in place along the line, along the construction line, and get it going right about there. I'm going to click on the arrow above it to shrink them down. See the 3x that's moving along with it? That's the 3x that I'm going to actually need to grab. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to make that 5, and that's going to create 5 more triangles. Oh yes, that looks much, much better than what I just did. So then I'm going to click the green check mark so that I have all of these sketches that have all of these parts inside of it. So I can now use these parts to create extra extrusions or geometry or cutting. So like for example, if I wanted to cut these 5 pentagons, I could just go to extrude. And if I want to cut these, I'm just going to click on this. And all of the parts of my pattern, I didn't have to create all these shapes. They were automatically generated for me. And I'm going to click on remove, and I'll basically have a pattern cut out of my shape. I guess it helps if I actually had something extruded first. That would have been smart on my part. Whoopsie. Hang on. Let me change that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and extrude my rectangle. Hopefully it doesn't make a huge mess. And it totally did. Okay. We'll make an extrusion of a rectangle tomorrow when we start talking about how to like actually use pattern tools with these. It looks like I just made a big sketch of all of this stuff, so we can make a sketch on the bottom of it, but I'll save that for another day since that would involve doing a little bit extra stuff. So that is how you use the circular pattern tool, the rectangular pattern tool, and the linear pattern tool. Keep these. We're going to use these later. Have a great day, and we'll talk later.